Hi, this is Basil Green speaking. I am an author and I am an entrepreneur and an ex drug addict who was really hooked on different kinds of substances. So, I just want to share with you as somebody who was affected by substances. The title of my talk is called The Effects of Drugs in South Africa, and it's actually compiled by me, Basil Green. What I want to share is just four things that I've noticed in my research and my reading that I've done. It's not a very extensive research, however, it will be enough to lay a foundation for you as someone who was listening to me and who was interested in knowing more about the effects of drugs. And hopefully, after this video, you will be able to do something about drugs in your community. I'm not just sharing it to provide information. I want you to take some kind of action once I have relayed this information with you. Because at the end of the day, we all need to be working towards changing the society that we are living in. Drugs are not good, but before I start talking about it, I had a very bad experience. I stayed clean for 6 years, and afterwards, I ended up taking ecstasy. And I do share about this experience in my book, and I'm not trying to be first. And I share about how I believe the drugs got into my drink because when I went to visit a cousin of mine, she told me I came there, I was already high on drugs. So that's one of the things that uh, basically triggered me relapsing. And then I ended up buying for myself afterwards. So I take responsibility for that. I shouldn't have done that. And I took drugs on like three or four other occasions afterwards. But I am strong now and I am on my feet and I am willing to keep fighting this thing because it is a bad thing in our society. But the bad experience I want to share happened uh, during the December holidays in 2019. And I had taken drugs, I had drank excessively, and when I took this drug, I had a very bad reaction to it. I was actually kind of losing my mind, I think, and I was feeling like I wasn't gonna die that day. But two of my friends rushed me to the hospital, and I ended up being sedated, and everything went well for me afterwards. But that was a wake up call for me because I spent so many years not taking this stuff, and thereafter, I have this bad experience. So it's a little bit of a negative reputation for me as somebody that does all of these talks, but I won't allow it to make me stop doing what I am doing because I know the work that I am doing is very important, and I'm going to show you why. Firstly, the first thing that I saw in the research was that it's 10 million people use drugs in South Africa. That is 1 in 5 people. So if you know 5 people and you are the fifth person, one of you is part of that statistic. So that is a very staggering number. 10 million people. What are we doing in South Africa? And let me tell you what Dr. Eugene Ellis says. Well, this doctor is a member of the South African Society of Psychiatrists. Eugene is usually a man's name, so excuse me about that. Dr. Eugene says, alcohol is the number one abuse substance, followed by opioids, which includes cocaine, heroin, nyaupo, and wunga, as well as dacha. So this is one staggering thing that I saw for myself. Now, this doctor says the reason behind this is that it is easy to get drugs into South Africa and sell them, and the demand is also huge. Now, I was reading this on the capetalk.co.za website, and it's truthful because there are a lot of drugs. Look at our communities, they are full of drugs. Wherever you go, you will be able to find drugs. I know when I was taking drugs, it was very easy to buy drugs. So I kind of understand. And this is something that needs to be changed because for 10 million, there's 50 million people in South Africa. So a fifth of the people are taking drugs or using drugs in South Africa. That's a lot of people using these substances. The second thing I want to mention is that drugs are a tool for you to self-destruct. And these are all titles, in fact, that I saw on these websites that I was visiting, and I felt that I just should put them as the subjects of this presentation here on the video. Now let me read to you what is written on there. According to statistics released in September 2018, the SAPS, which is the South African Police Services, reported a 10.5% increase in drug-related crimes from fiscal years 2016-2017 to 2017-2018. Enforcement teams from SARS also seized illicit drugs and precursor chemicals, and including ethanol and toluene. This is what the report reads. So you must understand that, looking at the first thing that I mentioned, that it's easy for drugs to be brought into South Africa, yet it says that the South African police, SARS teams, also seize illicit drugs. So there is something happening. There are drugs being taken, and there are drug dealers that have been caught with the drugs. However, there is a problem because it's also easy for them to bring it in. And how is it that it's so easy for them to bring it in? This is where the question lies, because there is people around the borders. That's one of the questions that we ask when we see things happening in our country, and we say, how did these people get into the country? So there's a lot of corruption in our nation, we know that, and we are trusting that all of this corruption must be removed so that we can deal with this problem. Because I was just one person that had this experience, and when I was preparing this thing and pondering about all the experiences during this COVID-19, this pandemic, it gave me a lot of time to think about a lot of things. And I thought of all the different young men who passed away, some from drug overdose, others, yes, their insides were burnt up because they had taken too much drugs, and so they ended up dying because their bodies could not take it anymore. So this is all the stuff that I thought, and I said, hey, how was it that I ended up taking drugs myself when I was given so much information? So it was a bit of a foolish idea for me to do that, and I am acknowledging it on this video as well. But I am grateful to God that He kept me, and I believe things like this here happen because it gives us a second chance to live out our lives and continue doing what we are supposed to be doing. I believe I have been created to change the world, and this is how I do it, by creating content for people like you, so that you can experience the freedom that I've also experienced. I know what it's like to get off drugs, and I've done it before, So it wasn't really hard for me to bounce back because I spent a considerable amount of time being free from it. And I don't know how. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I wouldn't spend too much time on that because I don't want to end up dwelling on the past, how that drug got into my drink. But if it was put in there, then I just have to forgive the people and move on with my life because it's not going to help me by staying in the past. So I'm going to move on to number three. It's what I saw on one of these websites. First, I just needed to tell you which websites I got the drugs or a tool for you to self-destruct. So you can go and check it out for yourself. This is just like an appetizer for you to go and do your own research as well. So you can get an understanding of how this thing called drugs or substance abuse is affecting our lives as citizens of South Africa, and not only in South Africa but all over the world. I got it from the Mail and Guardian site. The link is mg.co.za. So you can check on there and you will be able to see this article that was there. And the next one is, it's vital that parents, citizens, and family members know about this. Now, this part here, I never take it from the heading. It's just a part within the article. So if you type out the effects of drugs in South Africa, you will be able to get this website as well. It's the Parent 24 website. As you can type m.parent24.com and you will be able to get one of their stats on website. Let me tell you what it says. It's estimated that up to 60% of crimes committed involve the use of substances, and 80% of male youth deaths are alcohol related. South Africa also has a rate of fetal alcohol syndrome, which is 5 times that of the US. So this is something that's very staggering, and this is very mind-blowing as well, because you as a person also has to think about your involvement in this. And remember, the stats is 1 in 5 people. Are you the 4 that do not take drugs, or are you the one that takes drugs? Now, drugs is also included when you drinking alcohol. Now, we understand that some people can drink 1 glass of wine and others want to drink the whole case of wine. So there's a difference between the person that has self-control. And when I was putting this together, I remember a friend of mine, his parents are no longer alive. They used to say that they actually showed me when I gave my life to Jesus. And this is how I ended up defeating drugs, because I was living a godly life. And when I used to visit his home, whenever he came from his work, at the time he was working in Kenya, Dane Harvey, and used to come and visit his home, and I used to just go and touch base with him and talk to him just to see how he was doing, catch up. And his parents showed me the drink on their shelves, and when we were drinking, well, I personally, I had a very bad problem, because when I used to drink, I used to want to drink one way over the weekend. Now, in the week, sometimes I used to stop, but it came to a point in my life where I was drinking every day as well. So it was that bad. I couldn't control myself. But when I was saved, I was able to stay away from it. And it doesn't have that kind of control it used to have over me right now. But what they said was that they are able to control themselves. And I used to see the bottles there. I used to think, hey, this stuff will never last in my house if I was still drinking, because I would have wanted to drink all of those bottles if it was me in my previous years. Now I can sit and watch alcohol. I even had a bottle of wine I came back with. I never drank the wine. I had it. I can't find it anymore. But I don't know who took it. It was like a souvenir for me because I took it part day in Harvey's wedding, and that was in around 2015. Now it's 2020. It was in my position for almost 5 years. It was also a sign for me to say that I do have control over this thing because it's no longer having control over me. So that's one of the things. But know that this is a very big issue, I believe, because it's affecting our lives, especially family members. Also affected when a person's on drugs and they cannot control their lives the way other human beings are supposed to be controlling their lives. And it does cause problems. I can confess on this video because I want to make myself vulnerable and make you understand some things. My younger sister, if she's a person that spoke a lot and told all the stories, I don't know how I'm going to get it out of her, but she can attest that while I have a friend of mine who also witnessed me, I stole her phones. I used to steal her phones one way and deny it. But that was me. I was a very selfish person. Even at home, when there was money lying around, that money I never used to look at it because I knew, hey, this is just for my fix. When I go and think I'll have extra money to do my drugs or have a good time when I'm partying. So mainly I used to steal the phones to go and buy drugs. I've even sold stuff that I bought for a couple of drugs. So that's how bad it was for me. But I am stronger now and I've learned my lessons in life. And I am doing this so that you can also learn from me. It's they say that you can learn wisdom by making mistakes, or you can acquire wisdom by learning from other people's mistakes. So you got to choose how you're going to acquire your wisdom. Yes, we must have experience in life, but you don't have to have bad experiences in order to live life. We are going to make mistakes. Where you're going to make mistakes, sometimes you can't avoid it. Sometimes you can avoid it. Some mistakes just happen. Some mistakes you can see that you can avoid it. So in this instance, please, I am asking you with all the love that I have inside of my heart for the people that I am trying to help, do not go the direction that I went and many of us have went, because it's really going to destroy your life if drugs get a hold of you. And 90% or 100% of the time, you end up getting hooked on drugs. Many people are hooked on drugs today. Some are in denial. They're saying that they have it under control, but it's still controlling their lives because they still have to make a plan in order to do their drugs. And it's also not going down well with their family members. Some of these guys are married, some of these women are married, and they've got children. They have to look after these children while being on drugs and being controlled by drugs. So I am trying and just give you a good word of advice. This is not a suggestion. I am giving you some advice today. Do not go and take drugs. Please do not do that. So I just want to talk about the last part. I found it on the sanews.gov.za website. And this is what I extracted from there. The Department of Social Development describes substance abuse dependency as a chronic, degenerative condition that has devastating impact on individuals, families, and communities. In addition, a link between substance abuse dependency and other social ills like crime, violence, HIV, and AIDS, amongst others, exist. And this is the truth. A drug addict will go and do anything to get drugs. And some of the drug addicts end up selling their bodies. Thank God I never end up having to do that. But I can share a story of a young girl that I met. She ended up dying. She was selling her body, I believe, and she ended up in a car and she never came back. Some say that it was a drug overdose. We don't know the truth of what really happened there, but she never ended up coming back from taking a ride with one of these people. And this is a very touchy issue as well, because there's a lot of young people you see. Some of them I personally see, when you're driving around the communities that you I was used to visiting, and you see, hey, these people, I know them when they were in their prime and in their young days, and now they are living like I don't know what, when you see a person that was normal and now they are living in the bush because they cannot live at home with other people at home because they are no longer able to carry themselves in a way that other normal human beings are carrying themselves. Everything has to come to them, you know. They steal everything, especially the ones that are on Wunga. This is a very bad drug because the people can't live in the house. Whatever it is that they can find, they steal it and sell it. So the family members have to basically say, hey, you know what, we can't live with you anymore because we're living here and you are destroying everything else in the house. So they end up staying outside, and many of the guys, many of the girls are sleeping in places that are not meant for human beings to sleep in. So I doing this video knowing that it could touch one person's life, even if it's just one person. We don't know how much of an impact that person's gonna make with their lives, and you can even share it with other people, or you can do something to stop drug abuse in South Africa, because it is a very bad thing, and we need to do something about it. I've decided I'm going to give myself a big job. I remember when there was a support group for parents of drug addicts, and it was called Drug Free Zone, and it never lasted very long, and I was really disappointed about that. However, I cannot dwell on that because I know what I want in my life and I know what I'm about. So I have to continue whatever it is that on my heart, so that I can keep myself busy and not get distracted. And I personally believe, because there were hindrances in my life that took me off course and I lost my focus. So once I lost my focus, you know, I wasn't able to resist some of the things that were thrown in front of me, which led me to go and take drugs. So it was my choice. So I do these things to keep myself focused as well, so that I can continue staying free, so that I can remind myself, when I'm doing all of the stuff, I'm constantly reminding myself of where I come from. And this is very important. And it reminds me why I need to do this here, because when I see lives changed, when I see myself doing something that is going to bring a person closer out, or get out of their bondage, I am happy. You know, I feel more alive when I'm doing stuff like this, when I'm speaking to people and I'm helping people, when I'm doing the motivation, when I'm doing stuff that is changing people's lives. I feel like this is what I was created to do. I remember when I was doing trainings, the first time I went and I stood in front of these children, there was a sense of knowing inside of me. I almost felt like there was a voice inside my spirit that said, this is what you were created to do. I remember it was at my former school. I schooled in Oosterville Primary School for half of my grade 1 year, and I was standing in that school, and I remember I felt that in my heart that this is what I was created to do: stand in front of these children and tell them about life and the choices that you can make and what good things that you can do for yourself. And it was felt good sharing my story, you know. But we all have challenges, and but we do not give up, because there is a cause that is in front of us. Now, I was still sharing with you what is it that I've given, the task that I've given myself. It's one of the tasks. It is a mammoth task. It's almost impossible because uh, when I say this, I'm saying it based on the challenge that I've put myself on, so that I can always be busy and I can never have a sense that I've arrived, and I must always remember there's still more work to do. So it's going to keep me busy for the rest of my life. And I am saying this because there's a lot of things to be done. And one of it is, I said, was that I want to see a drug free society. Yes, that is a difficult task. Uh, I've shown you even here in this presentation that it is a difficult task. And I don't usually do presentations like this. I'm more of a person that just likes to talk, so that I have a free flow on how I speak. I believe we all have our different ways on speaking. But because some people like structured things like this, I thought, hey, let me just do it for those people that enjoy it, so that you can also have something for yourself from me. But let me continue on what I was saying. The task is big. One of it is drug addiction. Others, my main task is improving the productivity of people. And one of the things that caused me to become unproductive was substance abuse. So it does make you unproductive. I know there were times where I used to smoke marijuana. Yeah, I used to sit the whole day with the guys that were smoking, and many of us wanted to work, but it was so difficult. We had no plan. I didn't know all of the stuff that I know right now. I didn't know about making videos on YouTube and blogging and writing books. But when I got off of the drugs and the excessive alcohol drinking, and I started going to church, I started getting these desires inside of me to do all of this stuff. It never happened overnight. I am saved 10 years now. I'm serving the Lord Jesus Christ. And in between that, there have been challenges to me walking out this thing called the saved life. But this is where I am today, 10 years later, talking on a YouTube channel, which I never knew I could do. I was never able to talk to people. In fact, I was always the one quiet. I used to talk to some people, but not everybody. The people that I was more used of. And most of the time, my conversations weren't as long. But now I cannot stop. I talk more than I'm supposed to be talking. Sometimes I get told I must give other people a chance to talk. So I've learned to do that. But today I just want to share with you that drugs have an effect on South Africa. It does. And many of us are having difficulties dealing with the effects of it, especially those who have people in their lives who are heavy on drugs, drug addicts. This is the worst problem. I was speaking to a young man today, and I said a short prayer with him. But because there is the pandemic, I wasn't able to connect him with the people that I know. I personally never go to rehab, and I know people that were able to go to rehab and they had an encounter with Jesus there at rehab. And this is the method that they use. I used a different method, and I'm not saying my method is the only method. They went to rehab, and they were able to overcome the challenge that they had. And this couple that I know, it's actually a friend of mine's parents, guy that I hang around with when we were still young. He is no longer living in the same area as me, but from time to time I get to see him. But his parents are busy. Uncle Elmond and Aunt Jean, Carol, they busy with the drug addicts and they've helped people. So I tried and connecting with them because they known to be doing that, and I used to assist from time to time with them. So I said, hey, maybe I'm not going and do it, but you can go and do it if you want. Some guys say they spent even a shorter time. They got a year-long program. So I'm not going to say, hey, this is the way you need to do it, because we are all different. But I'm not discounting their program because I've seen changes in the lives of the people. And with everything that we are doing, when we are trying to help people, that's not going to work for everybody. And I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on the good things that I've seen where they've tried to help people and they've experienced tremendous results, because I remember when we first started the drug free zone, we were told that there was like a 1% or so chance of success. And I saw more than 1% chance of success, you know. So that's the good part. And most of the guys that were getting off the drugs were on Wunga. So that's a milestone or a breakthrough for the program. Now, I haven't been around him for a while because I was busy with other things, but hopefully, once the pandemic is over, I will be able to connect this young man. Hopefully, nothing will happen to him in between that. So, we're just gonna continue speaking on this topic, and hopefully, in the near future, I'll also come back and share other things that I've put together concerning this topic and other topics that I generally speak about. I remember I told you that I am a motivational speaker as well. I do seminars as well. I've got my own website. You can visit it, www.therealbasil.co.za. And I'm trying my best to be as authentic as I can be with you, because I'm not going to give you a one size fits all remedy to deal with this problem, because each person is different. We have different experiences. We are able to deal with certain things in different ways. So I'm not going to tell you that my method is the only method. I'm not trying to get followers only. I am trying to get results. So I'm doing this here. So if you feel this is something good for you, use it. Take what you can from it. And if there's things that don't work for you, then don't use those things. Take what works for you out of what I've just shared with you. And that's generally that what happens. I'm a person that listens to different people, and some of the people stuff, I can see some of the stuff was not gonna work for me. Some of the stuff is gonna work for me. And we find that when we operate like that, you will get the fullness of what I'm speaking. Not everything I'm gonna share with you is gonna be applicable to you sometimes. And some of these guys, they say these things out of greed, because the more people they get, the more money they make. And I wouldn't mind making a lot of money, but I won't do it in a way that is gonna pull you into one of my programs, and then it doesn't work for you, and you're gonna get upset with me, and I'm gonna have to try and find ways to make sure that it works, or does. If something does not work for you, it doesn't work for you. Maybe your personality is different, but I'm gonna tell you today that once you try something and it doesn't work, there are other people out there that can assist you. And I remember listening to a life coach speaking about this thing. If you cannot help the person, send them to somebody else. Don't think you can fix every problem, because people are different. I know I've got a specific amount of people that are going to be able to benefit from my things, and I'm created for that group of people, and there are other people that are created for other groups of people. And this is the nice part of being a human being, that we have freedom of choice And I'm not going to try and hook you into a relationship with or following me or something so that you can spend money on my stuff. This is free, but I also have stuff that I charge. I've got books that I sell, and whatever I'm doing, I also try and take at least 10% from it so that I can go and help the poor as well to get out of poverty. The ultimate reason why I started doing all of this stuff was to help the poor. And but today I'm speaking about drug addiction and its effects. So share this video, get people to listen to it. I've spent a little bit of more time talking on it, so I hope that it will benefit you in the coming days and it will benefit as many people as possible. And click on the links below in this video. I'm going to leave some links for you so that you can take advantage of some of my resources. Okay, goodbye.